Hello, welcome to Spellbound Homestead. My name is Taylor and this is where Laura Ingalls meets Morticia Adams. So today I'm very excited to be sharing with you some spring cottagecore books. There are a lot, so go ahead and grab your cup of coffee, tea, or beverage of choice and let's get cozy and talk about books. The first thing that I think about whenever it's springtime is Beatrix Potter. We are very much in our Beatrix Potter era here at my home, and I wanted to share with you an entire pile of Beatrix Potter books or inspired books, and let's just go ahead and dive into it. So besides the Beatrix Potter books that she personally wrote, such as The Tale of Peter Rabbit, my personal favorite, Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, there's many characters that you can follow along with her original works and her beautiful illustration, but I have some books here that I want to share with you. The first one being The Tale of Hilltop Farm. This is actually a series. This is called The Cottage Tale of Beatrix Potter, and so this is set as if Beatrix Potter is arriving at the farm for the first time, which this is loosely based on true things. Like, she really did live on Hilltop Farm, but this is a fictional spin on it. And she is solving a mystery while she's there. And I'm really excited to dive into this adult version of Beatrix Potter and a fun little cozy springtime spin on a mystery. I've had this book for quite some time, but I never got around to reading it. And this is the year that I would like to start this and hopefully read some more of the books in this series. Next one, I actually checked out the library. This is Beatrix Potter's Gardening Life, the plants and places that inspired the classic children's tale. And so this book is actually walking you through like her life and also some of the things that happened in her life that inspired her garden at Hilltop Farm. We actually have photos that are actual photographs of Hilltop Farm. So like, this is the apple tree there, some of the plants that are growing, and it's just a really fun, interesting nonfiction book about her garden and more of the nature that takes place on Hilltop Farm. Next book is called A Celebration of Beatrix Potter, Arts and Letters by more than 30 of today's favorite children's books illustrator. And so this is basically just an ode to Beatrix Potter, where several authors have like shared their work and their interpretation of her illustrations and her stories. They've shared blurbs about their favorite thing or memories involved with her books. And it's just a really sweet and special way to honor Beatrix Potter. There's different authors, their illustrations, and just a sweet little excerpt about what Beatrix Potter means to them. One I got at Thrift Books, which I recommend them if you're in the market for looking for used books. But this is The Art of Beatrix Potter, Sketches, Painting, and Illustrations. I love to keep this on my coffee table in the springtime, and it inspires my children to pick it up, and I like to flip through it as well. And this is photos of her illustrations and also like her beginning sketches of her work. So this is, for example, an alternative drawing for The Tale of Two Bad Mice, and it's just a really lovely book, especially like a coffee table book of her illustrations. It gives some history about it, and this is just a really fun and beautiful way to learn more about her illustrations and her as an artist. Last one for Beatrix Potter is Beatrix Potter and Her Paint Box. This is just a sweet children's story about Beatrix Potter when she's little and her becoming an emerging artist. Beautiful illustrations, a great way to introduce your children to Beatrix Potter, and it just walks you through her childhood and more specifically as her as a budding artist. So these are just some of the Beatrix Potter's books that I have currently. I am absolutely obsessed with her, if you couldn't tell. So I'm really excited to read those again this year, and my children are excited to learn more about her as well. The next pile is inspired by Anne of Green Gables. I'm actually reading this to my children right now. I've never read this book entirely, but we're starting it for our spring unit for school, and I'm so excited to dive more into the story with them. So Anne of Green Gables by Ellen Montgomery. I'm so excited to read this to them. We are currently on chapter 4, so Anne is just arriving at Green Gables, and it's really sweet, and I love so far just how like just pure and precious and imaginative Anne is, and so I'm really looking forward to reading this book with my kids this spring. In order to learn more about Ellen Montgomery and get ready for this school unit, I picked up this book, House of Dreams, The Life of Ellen Montgomery. This is titled and described as House of Dreams is the first biography of Ella Montgomery for young readers. So this is more of a YA type book of learning more about Ella Montgomery's life, and so I'm really looking forward to learning more about her as an author and as a person. The next two to wrap up Anne of Green Gables, this one is Goodnight Anne by Kelly George. She also wrote a very sweet series called Heartwood Hotel, which I highly recommend. My children loved it. But this is just a picture book of Anne and her life at Green Gables as she's getting ready for bed, and just gives you more insight as to the characters in the story Anne of Green Gables. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. And then I picked up this one. This is called Lucy Maud Montgomery, creator of Anne of Green Gables. Again, just a very simple and sweet way to introduce the author of the series. And so I want to read this to my kids so we can learn more about Ella Montgomery as an author and as a person. So that is it for the Anne of Green Gables, and let's move on to some other books. Next few books I want to share with you are just some picture books and children's books. This one is called Tim O'Toole and the Wee Folk, an Irish Tale, and this is perfect for St. Patrick's Day. My kids love this book. It's about Tim O'Toole, and he's learning about the leprechauns, and it's just a really cute and sweet children's book, perfect for St. Patrick's Day. The next one is called What's Inside a Flower and Other Quests About Science and Nature. This is a nonfiction book, perfect for kids learning about the parts of a flower. We're going to be doing a lot of gardening this year, and so this is a great way to introduce plants and flowers, how they grow, parts of a flower, and this was a really great way to introduce that to them without getting them overwhelmed. Homesteader, which how cute is that? Little Homesteader, a spring treasury of recipe, crafts, and wisdom. There are other books in this series that go with the other seasons, summer, fall, winter, but we have this one for the spring, and it's so cute. The illustrations are precious, and it has different recipes. You're learning about animals, and just a great little nonfiction book with little activities for kids to do. I've actually done this before. I have a video on it from last spring. We made violet syrup, and so I'm really excited to share this with my kids this year, and I love Little Homesteader. It's so cute. Witch Hazel, A Year in the Forest. My kids love this book. I was actually really surprised. It is broken up into 4 seasons, and you're following little Witch Hazel as she is going through the forest and having adventures, and the illustrations are just beautiful and top-notch, so I highly recommend this one as well. Next book I picked up was The Private World of Tasha Tudor. She is an illustrator and an artist. The only time I was familiar with her work that I knew of was whenever she illustrated the cover of The Secret Garden that I had a copy of when I was a child. And so this is just an autobiographical story of her. She is being interviewed. This man was able to go inside her home, take photos, get excerpts, and ask her some questions, and it was really fun to see some insight, and she just has so much wisdom, and you're able to go through her home, learn more about her work as an artist, and I was really interested and learned a lot about her because I wasn't familiar with her very much before. So this is a great little read if you want to learn more about Tasha Tudor. And Richard Brown was also the man that was interviewing her, took the photos, and wrote this book as well. The last pile that I have is chapter books that I'm planning to read. As always, you know how it is. There's always too many books on my book list to read, and I never quite get to them all. But the first one I want to read is The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame. I've never read this book before, but I'm hoping to get to it this year with my children. The back says, spend a season on the riverbank and take a walk on the wild side. And so we're learning about Mole and Ratty, Mr. Toad of Toad Hall. I don't really have a lot of insight as to what the story is about, but I've heard great things about it, and it looks like it would be perfect for spring. Next book is very special to my family. My daughter in particular loves this book. It's a movie adaptation as well that is perfect for springtime, and this is Tuck Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt. We are following Winifred Foster as she learns about the Tuck family and the secret that they have. This book is so beautiful. It has a great message, and the movie is wonderful as well. I don't want to give away too much information about it just in case you haven't watched or read it, but I highly recommend it. It has all the cottagecore and spring vibes, and it's such a beautiful story, and it's very special to me and my family. The last 2 books go together, and this is The Secret Garden. I have also never read this book entirely, so I don't even really know what happens. I just know that this is about Mary Lennox, and she is from India. She is moving. She goes to this place. I don't really know. I know it's such a classic and I should know more about it, that I honestly don't remember it very well. So I'm hoping to read this and also watch the movie adaptation. I plan on using this in our school, so I went ahead and got The Secret Garden Cookbook, inspiring recipes from the magical world of the Secret Garden. So we have all these recipes. This reminded me a lot of my Little Women cookbook that I have. And so I'm hoping that this will go and pair well with the book when we read it. That is all the books I have currently, and that is enough to keep me busy for some time. As you know, though, I'm always finding great books to read for myself or my children, and I have the very strong belief that your age, it doesn't matter what kind of book you want to read. If you're interested in it, please read it. It doesn't matter if it's a children's book, YA, juvenile, however, whatever it is. I think good books are important, and that can come at all ages. And so this is something that I'm really looking forward to this year. Spring is one of my favorite times to read to my children and do my own personal reading, and I'm very excited about these spring and cottagecore inspired books. Please be sure to leave me any book recommendations that you have down below in the comments. And as always, I hope you have a magical day.